Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. I've been feeling some serious FOMO from Book Bonanza, which is like a big romance book signing hosted by Colleen Hoover, and it was in Texas over this weekend. I was definitely feeling left out, seeing everyone have so much fun through Instagram. So to make myself feel better, I thought I would make a video all about book signings, like how to prepare for them, how to go about them, some little tips and tricks that I've learned over the past few years going to book signings. I've only ever gone to Apollycon, but each year has been such a different experience that I learned quite a lot, like things to do, things not to do, so I thought I'd share them with you all. I'll separate this video into tips for before a book signing, like how to prepare for them, how to pack, and then tips on what to do during a signing, as well as an after, like what to do with extra books, how to unpack, things like that. So let's get to it. Living in California, I can't really go to that many signings. Usually they're over in Texas or on the East Coast. So my method of transportation is flying usually. So this video will be especially good for people who are flying, who need to pack luggage that's under the weight limit. I would recommend flying through Southwest just because they allow you to free check-in bags. I think the weight limit for each bag is 50 pounds, which is totally fine. I brought like 50 books last year and I was definitely under the weight limit. Plus you get a free carry-on bag as well. So it's up to you. You can definitely fit some books into your carry-on. Just make sure that you're able to, lift it up into that overhead bin. Of course, it all depends on how many books you do plan to bring. I am definitely that kind of person who will bring more of my own books, or I'll buy books ahead of time and bring them with me instead of buying them at the signing for housing and where to stay. If you can't afford it, I highly recommend staying at the hotel where the venue usually is, just to make it so much easier on yourself, so you can go back and forth from the room to the signing if you have too many books and don't want to carry them all. Or if you know someone in the area and they're willing to house you, you can absolutely do that. I did that maybe 2 or 3 years ago for the Apollycon signing in Florida. I stayed with my friend Sarah. And what's nice about that, not just financially, is that you can ship your books to that friend's or family's house. I shipped like 3 or 4 big boxes to Sarah's house because I didn't want to check any bags in at the airport and I didn't have enough room in my carry-on. So that is always an option if you decide to stay with someone. And media mail is of course super cheap. I think like a big box is $10 or less to ship. So how to prepare your books to fly with you to a signing. I recommend getting your books ready, like having a pile of what you want to bring, knowing what you want to bring 2 to 4 weeks early. I don't really recommend getting books earlier than that just because a lot of authors do drop out of signings. That happens so much with Apollycon 2019. Like I bought books for authors who ended up dropping out 2 or 3 weeks before the signing, so that was a bit of a bummer. I am very much a last minute packer. I mean, I'll pack my books ahead of time just because they're what's most important to me, but then I'll pack my clothes and toiletries and stuff like the night before a flight. I do recommend getting your books ready maybe a week ahead of time, making sure you can weigh out your luggage, and make sure before you put any of your books into your luggage that you put sticky notes in them to make it easier for the authors to sign them and personalize them. So I pretty much filled 2 luggage bags full of books. I'll try to maximize the amount of room that I have for these books, and I'll put the books at the bottom of the luggage so that when it's upright, all the weight is down below and it won't squish anything like your clothes or whatever else you put in there. So you can probably fit 15, maybe 20 books if they're smaller in your checked-in bags. Just remember that indie books are slightly heavier than traditionally published books just because the material is heavier. So please remember to double check your weight limit because it is quite a hassle to be at the airport and having to like take books out of your bags and put them somewhere else. And yes, I have done that. And for the people who do plan on purchasing books at the signing, even if you don't plan on doing it, please leave room in your luggage for more books because more than likely you will end up buying something that you see or meet an author that is new to you and you end up buying their books. So just leave room in your bags. Don't stuff them all the way full. Although if you do have that problem, I also do have a solution for you. So those are the ways you can bring your books with you to the signing. Some authors will also put up some order forms for you to pick up during the signing and you pay through PayPal, I'll usually check the price of that, compare it to Amazon, and whichever is cheaper or easier on me, I will order through that. Just remember to pay the invoice in time and remember to go to that author to pick them up. Some things you want to bring with you to the signing besides your books: a very sturdy tote, a cart if they do allow you to bring one, and a map of where the authors are at the book signing. Usually that can be found online though, so you don't really have to have a physical copy of it when you can keep it on your phone, keep a screenshot of it. So for totes and carts, please double check ahead of time what the venue will allow you and won't allow you to bring into the signing, because for Apollycon they don't allow you to bring any rolling carts anymore, no more backpacks. But tote bags are definitely doable. You'll just have to make a couple more trips around. The rolling carts are pretty convenient. They are much easier on yourself and your shoulders. But they take up a lot of space. It's like annoying for not only you but other attendees trying to walk around them, getting hit by them. But of course, if the venue allows to bring them and you already have one, feel free to bring it. So one tip that I learned watching other people with carts that I didn't do myself, but I wish I did, was to separate your books by author to make it easier to find the books that you need to get signed when you're at the table. So you can put books by the same author into something like a plastic bag or a Ziploc bag, like you can do this. You can use a Ziploc bag, you can use plastic wrap, you can use like a paper bag. You can use whatever to separate your books so that it'll be easy to just grab it out of your cart or your tote. It'll be easier to know what books you've gotten signed as well, because I've always had problems because I bring too many books and the ones on top are easy to reach, the ones on the bottom are not. So being able to organize the books by author, keeping them wrapped together, just makes it easier to grab them and put them back and keep everything organized in your tote or your cart. So this is the kind of tote that I brought this year to Apollycon. This is from Everlane. It's like a nice leather tote bag with some nice thick straps. I'll leave a link down below if you want to check it out. I mean, it's pretty pricey. You don't really need some nice fancy tote. But I like this one just because I can fit like 12 books, although it'll hurt my shoulder, but whatever. So get yourself like a roomy tote with some thick straps. Oh, and also shoes. You're gonna want to wear something flat unless you're like really used to wearing heels or something. If so, props to you. I could never do that. Something you can stand in for a very long time, because for most of the signing you're gonna be walking around and or standing in line waiting for your favorite author. So those are tips and tricks on how I recommend you get ready for a book signing before you even fly out there. So let's get into what you should do during a signing. So you have all your luggage with you, all your bags. You've arrived at the hotel or the room that you're staying in. So it's time to unpack your books. Organize them by who you want to see first. Although I do suggest carrying books for not so popular authors as well, for authors that won't have too crazy of a line. Make a name tag for yourself. Put your blog name or your Instagram name below your name. It's just easier to connect a face with like a written out name. Double check that map of where the authors are sitting and what tables to see where you want to head first. Make sure your phone is all charged up because you're gonna want to take pictures with the authors especially. If you're not sure where to go first, just take a walk around, like familiarize yourself with where the authors are. I know some signings have a thing where they use wristbands for very, very popular authors that they expect very long lines for. Keep an ear out for when they call like your section of numbers. And yes, it does suck when you get like a really high number and you have to wait a long time to get to see that favorite author of yours. But this just gives you an opportunity to see all the other authors that you want to see. And if you're worried about not getting to see all the authors on your list, I do have to say that might happen. I myself was not able to see Penny Reid at Apollycon just because her line was way too long. So just keep calm. It's not the end of the world if you don't get to see an author that you love. There is always going to be a next time. So you get to an author on their table and you're not sure, you know, how to start a conversation. That has happened to me. I can get pretty awkward around people, but I learned from my friend Michelle this great conversation starter, which is book covers. You can tell an author like some specific book of theirs is one of your favorite book covers. I mean, it doesn't have to be a lie, you know, some authors have really great book covers. It's a great conversation starter because the author will then tell you, you know, maybe they know the model, maybe they were at the photo shoot, like why they even chose that photo. I've gotten some great responses, especially from I think Sierra Simone and her cover for Sinner. If you can't think of anything, just go with complimenting a book cover. And if you're thinking about bringing like some other memento besides books to get signed, it's a really great idea. Authors love them. I love seeing them. People will bring like Kindle covers, journals, or even like a yearbook kind of book where they printed out pictures of the authors and their books and then they just get that book signed. I myself have gotten like a tote bag signed that's like full of different authors and their signatures. So if you're thinking of doing that, feel free to. I always love seeing them around and what readers can think of to get signed, and I'm sure authors do too. So you've ordered books to get picked up at the signing. Make sure you go to the author and let them know that you've ordered books beforehand so you can pick them up. And of course, the biggest thing to remember when you're at a book signing is to have fun. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to see all the authors that you want to see or get all those books signed. Just take it easy, keep calm, and enjoy the time that you have there. So after the book signing is done, you might see like a random author or two walking around the hotel. That's always super nice. I think I got into an elevator with BB Easton and her husband once. I was too awkward. I've never read her before, so I didn't want to say anything, but that was really nice. But yeah, the signing is over. So what can you do? I love exploring whatever city I'm in. The last few times I've been in DC for Apollycon, and it's always really fun to just go out and walk around, go to like famous bookstores, eat some good food. I'm always eating Shake Shack and DC. If you have the time, explore the city, especially if you've never been. You can definitely ask authors who are from the area, like where are the best places to go to eat. And after you've had your fun, it's time to go home and bring your books back with you. I would always recommend reorganizing your books in the same order that you put them in, not only to make sure you have your books with you, but also to keep yourself under the weight limit. If you do find yourself with extra books like you bought from the bookstore or at the signing, don't worry. There are ways to take them home with you. You can always ship them, of course, through media mail. Like just go to the post office, get yourself a box, and ship them off. And if you want, you can take out all the sticky notes that you have. I like to keep them just because I know I'm going to reuse them all for next year. So yeah, reorganize all your books, ship off the ones through the post office that don't fit in your luggage, and you've made it back home with all your books, plus a few more. I am definitely that kind of person who does not unpack immediately once I arrive home, but I do love reading all the notes and the personalizations that the authors have written in my books. Those are my tips based on like my experiences and people I know and their experiences and how to go about book signings. Hopefully I've helped you out a little, whether it's like your first time or your 5th time going. I hope you learned something. And if you yourself have any other tips and tricks you want to share on how to make book signings go through smoother, please let me know. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!